I'm making my way through the Horus Heresy for the first time, and I have things to say about Horus Rising.
The Emperor protects those who fight!
It is Warhammer Wednesday here at Above the Table, and while normally this is the time you'd hear my co-host Christian excitedly tell you about the latest Wargames news, this week I'm grabbing the mic and taking things over because, like I said in the opening, I'm reading the Horus Heresy for the first time, so it's time for the first Above the Table book club video. Before we get into that, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons to support our independent channel as we continue to grow, and also so I can continue to have a reason other than my own dedication for buying the 500 books in the Horus Heresy and making content like this in the future. To give some background here, I finally relented to years of "you would really like Warhammer" comments toward the end of 2024. It was during a preview that my interest was sparked beyond a surface-level appreciation of Warhammer miniatures to a full-blown, raging bonfire of love toward Lycus the Whispering Web, the Warp Spider's newly revealed Phoenix Lord. Because I'm not the kind of person to let things that almost make me drool like that slip by and be lost into the purgatory realm of things that I could have been into at some point in life, it wasn't long after seeing Lycus that I decided I needed to give in to temptation and succumb to yet another hobby that will repeatedly attack my bank account. And that is what brought me to Warhammer. I also think it's important to note that yes, obviously thanks to Christian, I went into the beginnings of me becoming a Warhammer fan with a bit of an advantage in terms of having an expert available to me to answer questions at all times, like what's the deal with Warhammer? Who are the Eldari? And who is the hottest possible character for Henry Cavill to play in his series? Jokes aside, I did go into this with a pretty solid base knowledge of what I'd be tackling, so I didn't go into the first book of the Horus Heresy completely ignorant to the lore. That being said, I think it's going to be quite the experience having gone into reading the Horus Heresy knowing that Horus is quote-unquote the bad guy, but getting to first experience him for myself as a reader in a heroic light. Getting to see Horus be the greatest champion of humanity, the beloved son of the Emperor in his gleaming white armor, only to have to eventually watch him fall, has me ready to be hurt again. I understand the path Horus is on, but that's not quite enough to stop me from wanting to follow him down it for a while. And friends, oh boy do I want to follow him. Anyway, on to more serious topics because this isn't that kind of book club yet. Having finished the entirety of Horus Rising, I have to say that my favorite part of the book remains to be the beginning, because the bait and switch with Loken talking about Horus killing the Emperor only to end up having an "oh, not that Emperor" moment was truly an amazing opening to what I'm sure is going to be an amazing overall series. I was there the day Horus slew the Emperor, had my full attention immediately in ways I find it's pretty rare to inspire these days, and brought about a desire to read the entire series in a way that will almost certainly come at the expense of what little sleep schedule I have already. I love a good bit of foreshadowing, so the opening was really just a great introduction to the Horus Heresy overall. Author Dan Abnett does a truly remarkable job throughout Horus Rising, providing nuanced and layered characters, rich settings, and action so vivid you can feel it coming off the page at times, and I already know that I'm going to miss his writing for this universe when I go into the rest of the series. The world and character building in Horus Rising took me by surprise, to be honest. Knowing that Warhammer is Grimdark, I expected Grimdark content, and while it's clear that Horus Rising is setting up the universe as a whole to be Grimdark, there are elements here that don't quite match that category, and I really appreciated that. Warhammer as a whole is pretty hopeless when you take into account the enemies being fought against are pretty much impossible to defeat truly, so having so much optimism and camaraderie in Horus Rising that results in genuine successes for its characters feels kind of like a nice hug. That said, while I may currently feel safe in the warmth of a universe full of hope, I know that I'm ultimately going to be stabbed in the back, tossed to the ground, and kicked repeatedly while I'm down by this series in the long run, and my friends, I am ready to be hurt. I really enjoy the visuals that are painted throughout Horus Rising. In particular, I love what a horrifying sequence of imagery the warp transformation carried out on poor Jubal inspired in my mind. For me, this sequence was the part of Horus Rising that truly convinced me that I am now on my own path to becoming a massive Warhammer fan. Overall, I genuinely loved Horus Rising, both serving as an introduction to Warhammer and on its own as a pretty stellar piece of science fiction. And I think the book could continue to be one of my favorites in the series overall as I continue to read. There's a lot to love in Horus Rising, and honestly, not much I could personally find to complain about, and any work of fiction that introduces a character as amazing as Loken has a lot going for it, in my mind. What is your favorite part of Horus Rising? Let us know down in the comments, and check back on Above the Table in the future for more Horus Heresy book clubs.